Welcome to Pillowtime Lore. This is your soft corner of the night, a place where stories live like warm embers, glowing in the dark. Before we begin, take a moment to slow down. Let your body melt into whatever holds you, your bed, your chair, or that cozy blanket wrapped around your shoulders. Feel how the day begins to drift away, piece by piece, as if it never belonged to you in the first place. Outside your window, the night is calm. The world has quieted down, and the sky has dressed itself in stars. Imagine gentle snowflakes floating in the distance, each one falling without hurry, without noise, just a silent rhythm to remind you that everything is allowed to slow. And here, in this moment, so are you. The glow of a fireplace flickers softly nearby, its warmth wrapping around you like an embrace. The golden light catches on shelves of books, on soft pillows, on every little detail that makes a room feel like home. You breathe in, and the air feels gentle, safe, peaceful. You breathe out, and the weight of today slips further and further away. There is nothing you need to do right now. No expectation, no demand, only rest, only stillness, only the quiet anticipation of a story that will soon take you by the hand and guide you through places that exist just beyond the edge of dreams. So, let the rhythm of your breath carry you deeper into calm. With every inhale, feel your body fill with ease. With every exhale, imagine the clutter of the day dissolving like mist. You are free now, free to wander through the world of tales where time is slower, and every word is a lantern leading you further into comfort. This is Pillowtime Lore, and tonight, a story awaits you. Idris had always been called a man of knowledge, yet inside him there was a quiet fire that never let him rest. He had read countless books, argued with the wisest teachers, and spent nights writing by candlelight. But no matter how much he gathered, something inside him whispered that it was not enough. Not yet, never enough. Then one night, he heard a story that stirred his soul like never before. A story of a hidden library that only appeared under the full moon. A place where books whispered secrets and where a single mirror waited. A mirror that did not show a reflection of flesh, but of truth buried deep within. The idea took root in his mind, and the more he tried to ignore it, the stronger it grew. Every tale he heard described the library differently. Some said it was built of marble, others of shifting shadows. Some said it rewarded seekers with wisdom, others that it destroyed those who dared to look. Idris felt his heart tighten with both fear and hunger. He told himself he sought truth. He told himself he was ready to face whatever the mirror revealed. Yet beneath those noble thoughts lingered something softer, something he dared not name. The desire to be remembered forever, not just as a man, but as a mind that touched eternity. So he set out on his journey, carrying nothing but a satchel of parchment, a flask of water, and the conviction that this path was meant for him alone, as he walked through forests heavy with night, through rivers whispering against the stones. He kept asking himself a single question: was he truly seeking wisdom for its own sake, or was he chasing the immortality of being remembered? And with each step, he wondered which answer the mirror would give. The night was alive with silver light as the full moon climbed high. Idris felt the air grow still around him, as if the earth itself was holding its breath. Then slowly, like mist parting to reveal a hidden world, the library began to appear, columns rising from the ground, shelves forming from shadow and glow, the structure towering endlessly until it seemed to scrape the sky. Its very walls shimmered as if caught between dream and reality. And Idris knew he had stepped into a place not meant for ordinary men. The shelves stretched on without end, packed with books bound in strange leathers and shimmering metals. Some glowed faintly, others pulsed like beating hearts. As Idris walked between them, he heard whispers, soft at first, then louder, words curling around him in voices not his own. Each book seemed to call a different truth, some luring, some warning, some pleading to be opened. The sound was not frightening, yet it unsettled him, as if every hidden thought he had buried deep was being read aloud in a tongue older than time. Then came something stranger still. He realized that the whispers around him were not the same for everyone. For in the shadows he saw other figures, distant and blurred, each pausing as if listening to words only they could hear, each drawn toward a voice that tugged at the most secret corner of their soul. Idris clutched his satchel tighter, awe and dread twined in his chest like a single knot, and with a breath that shook, he stepped deeper into the library's heart. As Idris moved deeper into the endless maze of shelves, he noticed shadows flickering, not of books or walls, but of people, and soon the whispers around him sharpened into voices that did not belong to the library, but to fellow seekers like himself. The first he saw was a soldier, his armor worn and dented, his eyes carrying storms of memory, his steps heavy, as if each one dragged the weight of the lives he had taken. Though he stood tall, his silence told 1,000 stories of war and sleepless nights. Not far behind wandered a woman dressed in dark veils, her face pale, her hands clutching a ring as though it were her final tether to the world. She whispered her husband's name with every breath, her grief a cloak around her shoulders. And though the library whispered loudly, she seemed to hear only the echo of love and loss that bound her heart in chains. Then came a girl, no older than 17, her gaze restless, her spirit alight with yearning. She walked swiftly between the shelves, as though chasing a vision only she could see. The word destiny burned in her eyes. She carried no grief nor pride, but the hunger to find a future greater than herself. Idris watched them all, realizing that fate had not brought him alone. Though strangers, their paths now converged, and as the whispers swelled, each of them felt the pull of the same promise, the legendary mirror, waiting in the heart of the library. The soldier stepped forward with steady steps, his jaw set, his eyes sharp with the look of a man who had faced death and lived to tell of it. He had fought in many battles, and though scars lined his body, he carried them with pride. To him, this mirror was not a threat, but a promise, a chance to see himself as the hero he believed he was. He lifted his chin and stood tall, ready to face whatever truth awaited. The glass shimmered like a pool of silver light, and at first it gave him exactly what he expected. He saw himself standing on the battlefield, victorious, his people cheering his name, banners waving high, children running forward to greet him with flowers. His chest swelled, his heart thundered with pride. For in that moment he felt the validation of every sacrifice he had made, every wound, every long night of blood and fire. It all seemed worth it. But then the mirror shifted, the silver rippled, and the cheering faded. In its place appeared faces. The faces of men he had cut down in war, their eyes wide with fear, their mouths trembling as they begged for breath. They were not monsters, as he had been taught to believe. They were boys, fathers, brothers, husbands, humans, who loved and were loved. Behind them, shadows stretched further, the silhouettes of mothers who would wait forever, children who would never see their fathers again, wives who would grieve with empty arms. The soldier's knees buckled, and he fell, his hands pressed to the ground, as he whispered hoarsely that he fought only to protect his people. His voice cracked, his shoulders shook. Yet the mirror did not leave him in despair. It shifted once more, showing his comrades who survived because of him, villages safe because of his shield, children sleeping peacefully under the roof of freedom. He had defended, his tears fell freely, for he now understood that his deeds were carved in two sides of the same blade, honor and grief, salvation and sorrow. The mirror had not condemned him, it had made him whole, and as he rose again with trembling legs, he turned away with eyes heavier but heart truer, a man forever changed. The widow walked with trembling steps, her hands clutching the silver band on her finger, her eyes hollow yet filled with longing. She had entered the library with one wish only, to see her beloved husband again, to feel even a shadow of his warmth. Her grief was a chain that bound her every breath, and she believed the mirror would offer comfort, perhaps show her that his spirit still lingered near. When she stood before the glass, her heart pounded with both dread and hope. The surface shimmered, and slowly her husband appeared, his face familiar, his smile soft. She pressed her hand against the mirror and whispered his name, tears streaming as love and relief washed over her. For a fleeting moment, she felt whole again, as if the years of emptiness had been only a cruel dream. But the image began to blur. The smile twisted, the warmth faded, and suddenly the mirror revealed scenes she had never known. Her husband, laughing in secret with another woman, whispers shared in the dark, promises made to lips that were not hers, moments of betrayal hidden behind the mask of devotion he had shown her. Every heartbeat of trust she had placed in him shattered in that instant. She staggered back, shaking her head, whispering that it was a lie, that it could not be true. Her body trembled, her grief turning to rage and despair. She screamed as the truth pressed against her like a crushing weight, refusing to believe, refusing to accept. Her cries echoed through the endless shelves as she fled blindly into the shadows of the library, the whispers of books rising like a storm around her, until the darkness swallowed her whole and she was seen no more. The girl approached her mirror with a restless heart, her steps quick, her eyes bright with unshaken hope. Unlike the soldier who carried scars or the widow who carried grief, she carried dreams. She longed to see greatness written into her fate, to see crowds chanting her name, to see herself remembered in songs and stories long after she was gone. She believed destiny would give her a crown, something vast, something that proved her life was extraordinary. The mirror rippled softly as she stood before it, and at first she saw sparks of light, crowds gathering, her figure rising above them, and her lips parted with joy. But as the shimmer deepened, the image changed, the crowds faded, the crown dissolved, and in its place appeared a different life, one not marked by glory or fame, but by small rooms filled with laughter, children holding her hand as she taught them, neighbors smiling at her kindness, a simple home where love and warmth glowed brighter than gold. Tears welled in her eyes, for this was not the greatness she had dreamed of, not the destiny she had chased. Yet, as she looked closer, she saw the quiet beauty of it, the meaning carried not in numbers, but in hearts touched by her presence. She wept, her shoulders shaking, but a smile broke through her tears, and she whispered that perhaps this too was greatness. Though unseen by the world, it was still eternal. With trembling acceptance, she stepped back from the mirror, her eyes softer, her spirit calmer, for she had made peace with a destiny, humble yet full of love. At the heart of the endless library stood a chamber unlike any Idris had seen. The shelves gave way to pillars of shadow and light. The air hummed as though alive, and in the center rose the largest mirror of all, its frame carved with symbols that shifted as his eyes lingered, its surface glimmering like liquid silver, silent, waiting as if it had known he would come. Idris stepped closer, his breath caught in his chest, his mind roaring with pride. This was the moment he had dreamed of through years of sleepless study, through nights hunched over parchment, through sacrifices he had made in pursuit of knowledge. He felt his heart swell, for surely this mirror would reveal him as he truly was, not merely a man, but a figure destined for eternity, a sage, a beacon of wisdom whose name would live forever. He stood tall, his reflection shining faintly on the surface, and in his mind he imagined the image that would appear. He saw crowds listening to his words, kings and queens seeking his counsel, students memorizing his writings for generations to come. He saw himself elevated beyond flesh, beyond time, and the thought filled him with a rush so sharp it nearly broke him. The chamber itself seemed to echo his hunger, the whispers of books growing louder, the walls bending closer, as if the library itself leaned in to watch. Idris placed his trembling hands on the cold surface of the mirror, closing his eyes and whispering certain that what awaited would crown him as the mind of the ages. His chest rose and fell as the silver began to stir, promising revelation. The mirror stirred like a restless ocean, ripples spreading across its silver surface. Idris leaned in, his chest rising with pride, ready to meet the image of the great sage he believed himself to be. Yet, what stared back at him was not a man of wisdom, not a figure crowned with knowledge and glory, but a small, trembling boy, barefoot, his arms wrapped tightly around a stack of heavy books, as though letting go of them would mean his very end. Idris froze, his breath caught, his voice dying in his throat. He stared at the boy, unable to look away. The child's eyes were wide with fear, his lips trembling, his knuckles white as he clutched those books, not with love, but with desperation. The mirror showed him not devotion to truth, but terror of emptiness, not the pursuit of wisdom, but the fear of being forgotten, of disappearing into the silence, of history. Memories flooded his mind, nights of study not out of joy, but out of panic, the way his heart would ache when others ignored his words, the bitterness he felt when someone else was praised more than him, the endless hunger to be remembered, to carve his name into time, all disguised beneath the noble mask of knowledge, all lies he had told himself for years. His knees weakened, his pride cracked like thin glass. He pressed his palm against the mirror, whispering, "No, no, this cannot be me." Yet the boy stared, back, eyes pleading, fragile, helpless, and in that reflection, Idris saw his own soul stripped bare, the truth that he had buried, the truth that shattered the image he had built, leaving him broken, humbled, and trembling in the silence of the chamber. Idris staggered back from the vision, his chest burning with shame, anger boiling in his veins. He refused to believe the trembling boy was him. He refused to accept that all his years of struggle had been nothing more than fear disguised as wisdom. His cry of denial echoed through the vast chamber, heavy and desperate. With shaking hands, he struck the mirror, once, then again, until a sharp crack split across its shining face. The sound like thunder rolling through the ancient walls. The glass quivered, light spilling through the fracture like trapped fire. And then, with a final roar, the mirror shattered, exploding outward. A storm of glimmering shards filling the chamber with blinding brilliance. Each fragment carried away part of the truth, scattering not only across the vast library, but beyond its unseen boundaries, flying like sparks into the endless world outside. Each piece waiting for the touch of a future seeker, each one a secret whispering to be found. As the mirror fell apart, so did the library itself. The towering shelves groaned and bent, the endless staircases crumbled, the air thickened with falling dust, the eternal whispers that had guided them began watching the last shimmer of the shattered mirror dissolve into nothing, then stepped into the open world where dawn was breaking. The sky glowed with soft gold, the light gentle but piercing, and for the first time he felt small beneath it, not with the arrogance of a man who believed he carried the world's wisdom, but with the humility of one stripped of every illusion. The weight of his pride was gone, yet in its place was something raw, an emptiness that stung like a wound. He walked slowly until the path split into two, one road wide and gleaming, paved with the voices of ambition, a road that promised thrones of respect, titles of greatness, and the glory of being remembered. The other, narrow and quiet, rough with stones, yet lined with the quiet pulse of truth. A road where no one might sing his name, but where each step could be real. Idris stood trembling at the crossroads, his heart torn. He had always feared being forgotten, always feared being nothing. Yet now he began to wonder if nothingness was not emptiness but freedom. Perhaps the true weight was not obscurity but the chains of pride. Perhaps to live with truth, even unseen, was greater than shining with a borrowed light. The dawn spread wider,